Okay, so what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be looking at factoring quadratic expressions. So when we have like x squared plus 3x plus 2 or minus 2, those are going to be what we're going to be trying to factor and break down into something. Okay, and that helps us with finding certain parts of an equation. So the first thing we're going to do is looking at what's the greatest common factor, or the GCF. So what's the largest number that can be taken out of every single part of these expressions? So if we look at the first one, we can take out a 4 out of each of these, and that's the largest number. So when we take a 4 out, so if we take a 4 out of the first one, we're left with just x squared. When we take a 4 out of 20x, we're left with 5x. And when we take a 4 out of 8, we get a 2. And basically what we're doing is that we're dividing each of these by 4. Okay? And this is how we would write it. We would write it as 4 parenthesis x squared plus 5x minus 2. And kind of what we're doing is we're working kind of backwards for the distributive property. So if you see to check, if you multiply the 4 into every single part, you should come up back into your original problem. Looking at the next one, the largest number we can take out of those would actually be 7 and an n. You can take out a variable to go along with it. So 7n, leaving us with n plus 7. Ta-da! And we're done. That is your greatest common factor right there, is 7n. Last one, the largest number we can take out is 3, leaving us with 3 times a squared minus 7. Okay. Now it's got to be taken out of every single part for us to call it the greatest common factor. If we can't take it out of every single part, we cannot remove it out of all of them. Okay. Alright, so now let's say we look at this, and this is what we're trying to do, is trying to factor this trinomial, a 3-termed object. So what you're going to do is you're going to be looking at the first number and the last number, and you're going to multiply them together. Well, the first one is 1, with just the coefficients. We're not looking at the variables, we're just looking at the coefficients. Well, the first one is 1. 1 times 8 is 8. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to find, okay, what are the factors of 8 that when we add them together we get 6. So what you want to do is you're going to want to write down all the factors of 8. So 1 and 8, 2 and 4, and if there's any more, but there isn't any more. Now which one of these two sets, when you add them together, do you get 6? Well, obviously it's 2 and 4. Okay, and what we'll do is that we'll write it as, we'll write x squared and plus 8. The first number and the last one, first term and the last term, are exactly the same. And what we'll do is in the middle is that we'll break it up. We'll use these two numbers, the two that add up to it. So 2x plus 4x. Okay, and now we'll group the first two and the last two. What is the greatest common factor of the first two? Well, it's just x. And what's the greatest common factor of the second one? 4. And so now we have x times x plus 2 plus 4 x plus 2. And now as you see, these numbers are exactly the same, which means that we did this correctly, and that is one of our factors. So that is one, and then the numbers on the outside make up the second one, x plus 4. And this is the factor of that. And if we were to distribute x plus 4 and x plus 2, we multiply those two together, we would get x squared plus 6x plus 8. We would get that answer. Okay. Alright, so now let's look at this one. We've got the first number, 1, times the last, which is negative 32. So we want to find two numbers multiplied together get you a negative 32, but added together gets you a negative 14. Okay. Since this is a negative number, that means that the larger multiple has to be negative. Okay, which means this one has to be out, which means this one's out, and this one's out for those. And now we look, okay, here are the multiples. Here's the numbers multiplied together get you a negative 32. Okay, and we've already taken out the first three because if we were to add any of those, we would get a positive number. Negative 8 plus 4 is negative 4. That one's out. Negative 16 plus 2 is negative 14. So there would be our answer. And now we'll write it. We'll go x squared minus 16x plus 2x minus 32. We can take out an x from the first one, and we can take out a 2 from the second one, leaving us with x times x minus 16 plus 2 times x minus 16. And as we see, those two numbers are exactly the same. That's one of our answers, x minus 16. And then the numbers out front are our others. Or the numbers that we factored out are our other answer. And so there is our factor. X plus 2, x minus 6. Okay. Alright, so now let's look at this one. Two numbers multiplied together get you a 12, but when you add them get you a negative 17. And so what we have to do here is that since it's a negative 17 but we have a positive number, we're going to be looking at two negative numbers. And so two numbers multiplied together get you a 12, negative 1 and negative 12. Added together get you 13. That one's not it. Negative 2 and negative 6 get you negative 8. That's not it. And negative 3, negative 4. Okay. And so that would be our answer. So we would have x squared minus 3x minus 4x plus 12. Now it doesn't matter which one comes first or which one goes second. No matter what, you're going to get the same answer if you factor it correctly. And so what you might want to do here is put a plus negative 4. And as you see here, the first one we can take out an x, giving us an x parenthesis x minus 3. And now this one we can take out a negative 4. Okay, x minus 3. And as we see again, same number inside the parentheses. That's one of our answers, x minus 3. And then the other one would be x minus 4. Okay. And so there are our two answers. Alright, so now if there's not a number out front, or if it's anything but 1, what we have to do is that we're going to have to make sure that we multiply the first and last number. Now, if the c is positive, so if the last number is positive, the factors will be the same sign. They will either be both negative or they will both be positive. Okay? So if the last number is positive, then they're both negative or they're both positive. If c is negative, then they're both opposite signs. Okay? One's going to be positive and one's going to be negative. And then for each of these let's talk about if they're the same sign. So if it's positive again, then the sign, the positive or negative, depends on the b value. So if this case the b is positive, that means that both the numbers will be positive. If the b was negative, then both of them would be negative. Okay? That's if the c value is positive. If the c value is negative, they're going to be opposite signs. If the b value is positive, okay, while the c is negative, then the larger factor is going to be positive, and then if b is negative, the larger factor is negative. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So now here we're going to multiply 2 times 12 to get our answer. 2 times 12 is 24. So now we look at the factors of 24. Factors of 24: 1, 24, 2, 12. 3, 8, and 4, 6. Which one of these added together get you 11? Well, it's not that one, it's not that one, it's not that one. So it's got to be 3, 8. So now we'll write 2x squared plus 3x plus 8x plus 12. What can you factor out of the first? We can factor out an x from the first one, giving us a 2x plus 3. And what can we factor out of the second one? We can factor out a 4, giving us 2x plus 3. As you see, it's the same again. That's one of our answers, 2x plus 3. And then the numbers on the outside is our other one, x plus 4. So what you're going to want to do, and there's our answer. So what we're going to want to do is find the number that multiplied together gets you, find the factors of it, and then see which ones added together get you the b value. Here are some special like formulas. In some cases, you have some perfect square trinomials. So if you have a squared plus 2ab plus b squared, you can say that's a plus b squared minus, it would be a minus b squared. And then the last one, if you have a squared minus b squared, so if you don't have any b value or any number in the middle, then it would just be a plus b times a minus b. Okay, those are some special cases. All right, your IRAT. So what you're going to do here is you're going to factor each of these. Remember, you're going to multiply the first number by the last number and then find the factors of that and see which ones added up get you the middle one. Okay, and then break it down, group factor, etc., etc., etc. Okay, we'll do more of these. Don't worry about thinking you need more practice. You're obviously going to be doing more of these, and we'll keep working on them, trying to find any type of shortcuts and try to get you more comfortable.